What is going on, traders? We got a few things to discuss, but before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So, in my last video, I pretty much let you guys know that today was probably going to be a boring day. Usually, after we have huge moves to the upside or to the downside, like we did yesterday, the market tends to be pretty boring the next day, where we get either a cool off phase, such as consolidation, or we get some type of pullback. Well, today we pretty much got both. We got consolidation more to the upside than downside, and then towards close, we started to see that sell off. So what are we expecting tomorrow? Well, first off, tomorrow we don't really have much of high impact news. We just have a bunch of FOMC members speaking. So if you are a trader that does like to follow news, then keep those things on your radar as far as what those FOMC members will say to either move the market to the upside or to the downside, or we just consolidate. Maybe they just don't say anything at all. Whatever the case may be, just pay attention to those FOMC members and what they potentially could say. As far as the NASDAQ goes and your key levels here, 18624. It looks like we're trying to head there overnight. 18624. You really want to see buyers step in if you're bullish on the market to possibly bring us back to the upside and get us right back above this 18710 area. Okay. If we can get that, then chances are we're going to make newer highs, and I wouldn't really doubt us heading towards that 19,000 area, but we'll talk about that if we get there or when we get there. All right. So really pay attention to this 18624 level. Why 18624? Well, as you guys can see, we rejected here, and we even rejected here as well. So triple rejection on this area, that shows me that this is a very significant area. Why 18710? As you guys can see here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here. Try saying that like 5 times fast. But as far as this key level here is very important. As you guys can see, we rejected here. So mark this on your charts. Okay, mark this area or the supply and demand zone on your charts. Very significant area. If we give up 18624, then chances are we're heading towards 18600, which is our psych level. And after that, you're looking at a move towards 18520, 18515 range, which is right about here. Okay. Why that area? Rejection here, rejection here, and then it acted like a magnet in this area. So that shows me that this is a very, very important area. It really took a lot for us to really break away from this area. Even when we broke down here, we just headed right back up to it. So this is a real magnet around 18500 area. So mark this on your charts as well. Very important area. Okay. That's really all I have as far as the NASDAQ. Pay attention to that. If we zoom out even more, in case you're wondering where this random line is, this is the trend line in our last video. We pretty much bounced here, bounced here, bounced here. So that shows me that this trend line is very important. I know not all traders believe in trend lines work, but I do. So pay attention to this trend. If you want to mark it on your charts, that can act as double support at around 18624. So really pay attention to this area. It's very, very strong area. I imagine bulls will want to step in here, if not anywhere else. Okay. ES. So ES, essentially the same thing you're looking at here. We're breaking back into this weekly supply and demand zone. Right now I'm looking at a move towards 5300, 5290 area, right about around here, before we potentially see bulls step in and probably take us higher. Okay, so that's the area that I am looking at. Pretty much a bounce off this trend line here. If you think I'm making this up, I mean, as you guys can see, we rejected here, rejected here, rejected in this area, rejection, rejection, a lot of rejection, and then we even broke through here. Let me zoom in. We even broke through here, and then we consolidated on top of this trend. So that shows me that this trend is very strong and this area is very strong. So if you want to mark this on your charts, feel free to do so. Again, 5300, 5290 range is what I'm looking at as far as the ES for a potential bounce. If we can get back above 5325, 5324, then there is chances that there is a chance that we can start heading towards that 5350 area. And then after that, you're looking at pretty much price discovery mode and even newer highs. Okay. So be on the lookout for those key levels as far as the ES. After that, if we just so happen to break below 5280, then chances are we're heading towards that 5250. We give up 5250 and you're bullish, you might want to start panicking. Okay, you might want to sit on your hands, or if you're a neutral trader, you just trade either side, you might want to start turning bearish. Okay, do what you want with that information, but 5250, we start breaking back below this weekly supply and demand zone at a 5250. Things can get really ugly for bulls. So really pay attention to this area. But for now, your first target is 5300, 5290, and then worry about everything else after the fact, or if it even happens. Okay. SPY. So SPY, I told you guys about this level or this area, the supply and demand zone in the last video. Again, we are looking at a potential move towards 50. I mean, not 50, but 526, 525 area. 525 will be your psych area. So we could be looking at a move like this overnight, or even heading into market open, where we pretty much open at around 525, 526, and then we potentially see more upside. We can also go even lower than that at around 524, 523.9. Why? Because we rejected here, rejected here, rejection here, rejection here. You guys get the idea, right? If we go to another time frame, there is also a gap here at around 523.9. So something you really want to pay attention to here. So this is a very, very strong support. So if we were to get downside tomorrow, I imagine we're going to try to start filling this gap in. And then after that, I do expect bulls to most likely, in my opinion, step in and start bringing us back to the highs. So something you want to pay attention to if we start continuing to get more downside. As far as upside goes, you just pretty much want to break back above 531.5, 532 to be safe. And then after that, you're just pretty much in price discovery mode. And I will say we will start heading towards that 535 psych level. But that's really all I have for the SPY. Just pay attention to how we move at open or overnight and look for a move towards this potential gap fill. If we don't feel this gap and maybe we just immediately bounce tomorrow morning, then I will be looking at a move like this where we just pretty much bounce around 525 and then head higher and pretty much leave that gap behind and for the future or if we ever decide to fill it because we got a lot of gaps to the downside that we just never filled. So those are the levels you want to pay attention to as far as the SPY. Triple Qs. Triple Qs, pretty much the same thing we're talking about as far as the SPY here. 449 is your key area here. 449. After that, you're looking at a move towards 447, 446.8. Let's go to our 4 hour time frame. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at as far as the triple Qs. As you guys can see, this is a very strong area. So we would need some really bad news, in my opinion, for us to even consider breaking even lower than 446. I would say 445 to really be safe. But rejection here, rejection, 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 you get the idea, right? So that's what I'm looking at as far as the triple Qs, as far as potential downside. 449 is your first key area, and then 446.8, 447 range. Okay. Other than that, that's really what I'm looking at as far as the triple Qs. As far as upside goes, if we just so happen to bounce off this area, then that will just create more space for even a bigger move. I told you guys in the last video that I do have a target for 460 on the triple Qs. But if we do just so happen to drop and then maybe next week or whatever the case may be, we get more upside, we can start heading towards that 460, 465 area. So keep that on your radar as far as triple Qs. Now, if bad news comes in, that's the only thing I can really see happening for us to even consider breaking below all this turbulence. I mean, this is a lot of turbulence for us to consider breaking through. We need something really bad to come in. That's my thought process. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe we just break through it tomorrow for whatever reason. And yeah, maybe a Fed member just says something out of this world for that to happen. We'll see. But that's really all I have as far as the triple Qs. Okay. As far as upside goes, 455. I think that's a no-brainer. You break above 455, then chances are you're just going to start being in price discovery mode. I would imagine 457, 458 range will be your next target, and then 460. But we'll see as far as the triple Qs go. Semiconductors, Nvidia. Yeah, so we zoom out, or we don't zoom. We don't have to zoom out, but if we zoom out and go to the daily time frame, um, there's a head and shoulders here. There's an inverse head and shoulders here. As you guys can see, we're breaking the neckline. There is potential for a retest of this trend right here. As you guys can see, we're pretty much hitting this. What is this? Four. I mean, not four. 950, 951 area where we're pretty much rejecting here. As you guys can see, we rejected here, rejected here. So there's a good chance that we could be heading. I wouldn't say as low as 900, but maybe retest that 924 area before we start heading higher towards 973, 975. I still think Nvidia has potential to head towards 1050, but it is important to note that they do have earnings next week, so really be careful. I believe their earnings is next Tuesday, next Wednesday. So pay attention to that. Be careful. Keep that in mind. This is a very I wouldn't say the cleanest head and shoulders, but it looks good enough. Okay, it's pretty decent. Neckline is broken. Around 924 is where you're breaking. If we break above 975, this thing is probably going to go ballistic. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It's going to go insane. What causes that? Chances are it's going to be earnings. That's I'm not saying I'm bullish on earnings. I'm not saying I'm bearish on earnings, but I imagine that would be the thing that just causes this breakout to happen, and we just start absolutely going ballistic on Nvidia. But that's really all I have as far as Nvidia. It breaks back below 900, you might be in trouble. But we'll talk about that if we ever get back to that 900 area. All right. A trade that we took as far as semiconductors is Marvel. I really like Marvel. I like how it looks. I really don't even trade this thing, but I like that it's. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame. I actually like this ascending triangle here. As you guys can see, this is a very key area we broke. We rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, rejection here, and then we finally broke through this area. So I think Marvel has potential to start heading towards 80, and I might treat it as a sympathy play heading into Nvidia earnings. Even in the Discord, I gave the option for everyone to take profit if they wanted to. So nothing too crazy. Made about 30% on it. I'm still in the trade. Um, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I'll start trimming tomorrow. We'll see. But really good play. Really like how Marvel looks. Worst case scenario is that Marvel does one of these moves. If we do get a lot of downside, it's been fighting the market pretty well, even when we do get a little bit of downside. But if it just so happens to be the case, then chances are we could head towards a retest of the ascending triangle before we start seeing a move higher. I still think. I really think I'm really bullish on Marvel. I really like how it's looking on the charts, it has earnings, I believe, next week as well. So yeah, the day after Nvidia. Wait, no, I think this is the following week. Yeah, so the following week it has earnings. So something to pay attention to. I think it's going to pretty much run into its earnings and then maybe get a sellout, but we'll see. Do your own due diligence on that as far as Marvel. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Apparently it's like Marvel, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But yeah. And that's pretty much all I really want to go over in this video. I didn't want to make it too long. Bitcoin will be the last thing I go over. Somebody pointed this out in the Discord. It has a nice little. I see the inverse head and shoulders, pretty clean. I can't deny it. So yeah, be on the lookout for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin breaks above 68K, then yeah, that's pretty much the neckline for this thing. Uh, it's going to go berserk, I imagine. That's usually how it goes with uh, head and shoulders patterns. So yeah, look for a move above 68K, brace above 68K, then 70,500 is your next target. But yeah, pretty clean here. Pretty clean. All right. So that's all I have for this video. I really want to make this quick. There wasn't enough that happened today for me to really go over much, but be careful heading into tomorrow. Be careful trading into tomorrow. Pay attention to those levels. Discord link is in the description below. And until the next video, traders, have a good one.